Today marks 26 years since the mysterious Phoenix Lights appeared over the valley.
Don't get him too close to me, please.
That would so.
We don't, though.
I saw the Phoenix Lights.
Did you really?
Yeah, it is in a plane, right? Yeah.
There's one behind the chimney. One just flared up.
I got 4 of them. No, that's because it's going to hit behind a tree now. They're definitely moving.
Today we're going to be talking about the Phoenix Lights, a case that many people would argue is clear evidence, if ever you should need it, that we were visited by technology far beyond our capabilities. A warship-sized craft seen by thousands of people and caught on camera. World-famous skeptic Mick West, who I spoke to on the UAP Files podcast before, which you can check out here, he suggested that all we need is good witnesses and a few good images. He said in his interview with me that a few different camera angles should do the trick.
Until there's something to show, it's all just going to be people talking. And that's going to be a very difficult thing to convince people either way of what's actually going on if it's just people talking.
So what we need is something just to land on the White House lawn. That would solve.
We don't, though. I mean, that's what people joke about. Like, oh, what would it take? Would you like a flying saucer landing on outside your house? No, I mean, you just need something that clearly demonstrates maneuverability that humans can't do. So it could be something flying down from space. It could be something, orbiting the moon. It could be something that just hovers in midair and where it's viewed from different locations, and then it shoots up. You've seen loads of videos where something hovers and then shoots up, but they're all like fake or they're misleading or whatever they are. You don't see anything that's unambiguously anomalous. And that's what we need. We need an unambiguously anonymous piece of data that can't be attributed to sensor error, and it can't be attributed to being fake because there's multiple versions of it, and it can't be attributed to being like parallax or misjudged distance because we've got multiple viewpoints. That shouldn't be something that's impossible to get if these things are actually happening. And yet it seems really difficult to get that unambiguously anonymous data. We don't need things landing on the White House lawn. We just need 2 iPhone videos of a dot in the sky.
So why isn't the Phoenix Lights a groundbreaking case breaking the veil on the UFO reality, as it should be? Well, let's break it down. The Phoenix Lights was a UFO incident which occurred on March 13th, 1977. It has been a topic of considerable debate and controversy, and here are some of the inaccuracies and some of the issues with the official military response. Misidentification of flares. The official explanation from the military was that these lights were flares dropped by an A-10 Warthog aircraft during a training exercise at the Barry Goldwater range. However, witnesses reported seeing a massive V-shaped object that moved silently and slowly across the sky, which doesn't align with the characteristics of flares that would drift down and flicker as they burn out. Timing of the event. The flare explanation was said to have accounted for sightings at around 10 p.m. However, many witnesses reported seeing the lights earlier at around 8 p.m. This discrepancy in timing cast doubt on the flare explanation, as it doesn't account for the earlier sighting of the V-shaped formation. The size and shape descriptions. Now, witnesses described a large, solid craft with a distinctive V-shape, which would not match the characteristics of flares. The official response did not adequately address the consistent and detailed descriptions from numerous observers, including experienced pilots and law enforcement personnel. Radar data. Critics of the official explanation point out that the radar data that might have been collected during the incident was not publicly disclosed or adequately addressed by the media. And this omission led to suspicions that the full scope of the incident was not being revealed. Delayed and contradictory responses. The military response came several months after the incident, and the initial reactions from local and state authorities were dismissive. The delay and perceived dismissiveness contributed to public distrust and speculation that authorities were either unaware of the truth of the full nature of the sightings or were deliberately covering up the information. Governor's mockery and later admission. Arizona Governor Fife Symington initially ridiculed the incident during a press conference by having an aide dress up as an alien. However, he later admitted that he had seen the lights himself and believed that they were otherworldly. This reversal added to the controversy and the skepticism about the official narrative. Now, these points highlight this perceived inadequacies and contradictions in the official response to the Phoenix Lights incident. Now, even Governor Symington himself admitted that the stigma and the concern was so strong that he felt that he had to make the decision to mock the situation, as you saw from the initial opening scene in this video. But here's what he really thinks and what he saw.
March 13th, 1997. This event called Lights over Phoenix. What did you see?
Well, I saw a huge craft just kind of come right over Squaw Peak. That was, it was just breathtaking. And I'm not sure about the date. You've got a better memory
March
for the
13th.
dates than I do. Yeah.
But there was no, like the Clinton day, no.
No. No, I was on a strict diet. No, I'm serious. I'm serious now. That it was unquestionably it was a UFO, which means unidentified flying object.
Right, doesn't mean we're being visited.
Well, it's nothing like anything I've ever seen.
And you're an Air Force guy.
Yeah, and a pilot. Got a lot of hours flying, so it was pretty breathtaking. And I'll never forget. I snuck out to see it, without DPS. Which I'm not supposed to be driving my own car and that kind of thing. And so, but I told Ann what I was doing. I was going to go up to Squaw Peak and see what everybody was, clamoring about. And when I walked in the front door, she looked at me, and I was apparently normally I'm fair complected and pale anyway, right? And she said, "Oh my gosh," she said, "she looked like a ghost. What did you see?" And I said, "Well, I don't know what I saw, but it was really something, and I'm not going to talk about it." And
wow.
So,
did it frighten you?
No, I think I was kind of in awe, really.
How big?
Bigger than anything I've ever seen in the sky.
Like an aircraft carrier in the sky?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and it was hard to define because of the light in terms of the size, but it was absolutely silent and had sort of eerie embedded lights, and so that's what I saw. And I wasn't expecting to see anything because I was looking out over at Luke to the west, and then all of a sudden these people in the park area just on the west side of 51, there were a bunch of people there. Everybody said, "Oh, look at that!" And we turned around, and this thing was coming from the northwest, traveling to the southeast.
We now know, and it really hit me when we were watching the Diamondbacks in Game 7. And the B-1 flew over the Bob.
It wasn't a B-1 bomber.
But that thing all of a sudden out of nowhere appears. And, I said to somebody that night, I said, well, when they do test these, they test them in populated areas. They're new stuff. They test it to see if people detect it. Do you believe it was ours? Do you believe it was something from the U.S. government that they were kind of flying around?
No, it wasn't even close to a B. It was much bigger than a B-1. A B-1 actually isn't that big.
Right.
I mean, if it's at low altitude, it'll appear big, but no, this was totally different.
Not only was this witnessed by thousands of people, but also professional aviators like Governor Symington and Kurt Russell, and he explains what he saw in this clip.
So we're going into Phoenix, and I think it was Sky Harbor, and there's these bank of lights, 6 lights, in the shape of a triangle going back, right over the airport. And I'm looking at them as I'm coming in. I'm, on the horn talking to them, and I'm coming in. And I'm not saying anything about it because I'm kind of confused by it, but I can't tell if this is going to be an issue or not with landing. And Oliver said, "Hey, Pa, what are those lights?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they are." And so anyway, I called up the tower and I said, "What are you guys painting tonight over the airport?" And they said, "We're not showing anything. What are you seeing?" I said, "Well, there's 6 lights in a row." And they said, "Do you want to report this?" And I said, "Look, I can't identify it. It's flying and it's 6 objects." So that's what it is, right? So we landed. I dropped him off, flew home. Years later, I come home, and Goldie's watching this show on UFOs. And the most reported one of all time was this one in Phoenix. And I start to see this show, and I said, "Wait a minute. That's the night Ollie and I were landing in Phoenix. I remember that." And I said, wait a minute, I've got it in my logbook. So I went to my logbook, and I didn't mention anything about the reporting the UFO, but my flight was logged. So I said, yeah, and on the show they talked about 20,000 people reporting it and only one general aviation pilot. And I said, that's me.
More recently, some have dismissed it as a balloon, a large V-shaped experimental inflatable. And the recent aaro Historical Report, Volume 1, decided that despite it being a huge case, one of the most compelling in American history, they didn't feel the need to cover it. Now, I've noticed a theme here with Arrows investigating and reporting, like failing to cover Commander Fravor's Tic Tac incident that he gave testimony to under oath on television, live for the world to see. They decided not to cover it. And the Rendlesham Forest incident that involved numerous American servicemen and women. And in fact, it resulted in a payout for UAP-related harm to Temporary Sergeant John Burroughs. But yet, they decided it wasn't worth covering, and they didn't cover it. Now, I've reached out to Aaro and Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, and this is what he said to me. No
Foreign activities or reports are included, only US activities and assessments of UAP.
Well, isn't the Phoenix Lights incident in Phoenix, USA? In the USA? The USS Nimitz case, the Tic Tac, it was off the south coast of California near San Diego. That's in the USA. Okay, it doesn't make sense. I think this is a significant case, and it's one that Aaro didn't cover, and I don't understand why. Well, I might understand why, but that's my opinion. Okay, that's it, guys. Thanks very much. Take care.